Subscribe to our YouTube channel and don't forget to press the bell icon to get all the latest updates. I want to ask you for an appraisal of how you look at journalism in India today. And I ask you this because your book ends with a kind of ready lessons for those who might feel beleaguered. And one of the arguments you make is don't be terrified of losing your platform because if you have to compromise on what you want to say, you've already effectively lost your platform. And you'll find another way to tell what you have to. If it's not newspapers, it'll be TV. If it's not TV, it'll be YouTube. If it's not YouTube, you'll find another way. How do you look at the state of journalism today when so many of India's sort of best known journalists have actually left what used to be once called mainstream media?
So I think there is a great a great reason to be concerned about mainstream media, because other than one channel, let's say NDTV, I don't see others doing any work of any consequence at all. We actually only now, because of my wife's illness, we have a television in the house. We don't have it otherwise.
Yeah.
And secondly, in the newspapers also, in the mainstream newspapers, the Indian Express does something good occasionally, so that's worth reading. But otherwise, I don't read any other paper at all, frankly. And but there are many reasons for hope, I think. One is that outside what you call the mainstream media, individuals, and you personify them, that you people are doing path-breaking work which was never done before. Just with a camera and a mic, the way Praveen Jain of the print with his just camera in his hand, you exploded the lies of the government in regard to COVID. It is it's a historic work.
Thank you,
You have
sir.
documented,
Thank you.
yes,
Thank
you
you.
have documented history in that case. I think the only paper that did that was Dainik Bhaskar, but nobody else did that. So also, there are individuals, small groups of individuals, who are doing outstanding work in what mainstream media should be doing. To give an example, Sucheta Dalal and her husband Devashish, the
Yes.
way they follow the financial institutions in money life is just wonderful. The way a small little group based in Ahmedabad of all places works on alt news is just remarkable. A small group, or I don't even know who they are individually, but who follow assaults on free speech under the group called Article 14. That's wonderful. I mean, these are things that were not known at that time at all. So,
Yeah.
so there's been a very creative response in society, I think, of outside mainstream media. The growth of comics in India.
Yes.
I don't think there's an editorial writer who can have the impact that the comics have, like this Rajiv Dhawan. I don't know who he is, but on YouTube, his little 5 minute, 3 minute things are incisive. They tear down or they pierce the armor of many a politician and government. So I think there is a creative response in that respect. The second thing I think is that that's not so much in the media, but in the world of discourse, that so many persons now, like former civil servants, former diplomats, are writing. So many of them. At that time, let's say Mr. V.P. Menon had written, Mr. V. Shankar had written, or Mr. H.M. Patel's former civil servants had written, and they had written more or less very sedate books. But now we have books by Shiv Shankar Menon on national security. We could not be better educated than by somebody like him, or by Mr. Shyam Saran on various aspects of Indian foreign policy. My senior in college, Chandrasekhar Das Gupta's outstanding book on Bangladesh. This Mr. Avtar Singh Bhasin, whom none of us would have heard about, working for 30 years in the Foreign Office archives. His 5 volumes on Indian-Chinese diplomatic relations, and the book that he has done summarizing the lessons from that period and those documents. Um, I remember Mr. Sidhu, who was in Raw, writing about this how this Khalistan bogie was built up. There was
Yeah.
none. So this is very great and wonderful development for public discourse. So maybe we should think of media as not a great participant in public discourse, and we should see what is happening in public discourse as such. Then
Well,
we'll
I
be
mean,
more hopeful.
I hope that your reasons for hope remain valid, because one of the things that's happening is that there is now a move to curtail this digital space, which is where a lot of these independent voices are trying to find space. And thank you for your comments on our work. It means a lot coming from you. But let me ask you this, Mr. Shourie. You made a transition from being a journalist, from being an editor, to being a politician. You're not the first senior media person to have made that transition. Do you think there's a certain natural transition from being in journalism to being in politics? Or do you look back at it and think you wish you hadn't?
Not really. I was unemployed. This is just like it is getting another forum, and now that I'm not in government or anything, I write books. So actually, one should look at one's work,
Yeah.
and these are platforms. Barkha was a very important figure on a mainstream channel. Okay, that's not available. She's become an exceedingly important figure just by herself. I'm sure that everybody who saw your work during the COVID crisis would say that this is an institution, like that Tina Brown was saying. You are a heroine. Uh,
Thank you
so,
so.
so I think we should look at these things as just a platform that's available for the time being. And actually, I've counseled there also that have two, three professions going at the same time. Okay, you're not allowed to be a journalist, then write books. You're not allowed to write books, something else. So that should be a good thing to remember for the future.
It's great to see you here. Thank you for watching our work. If you haven't subscribed yet, don't forget to click the bell icon and subscribe to Mojo Story and support independent, robust journalism.